Can you all see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir, I can see it.
fantastic. Okay, so today we're going to cover one of the new technologies that are running rampant around the world. I think maybe I should even have some on the side open. Google, Gemini, that's one. Chat GPT. Okay, so when we look at technology, the evolution, and how the rise of new technologies, new age technologies like AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, these two things are different, but people use them interchangeably. Uh, in in technology nowadays, you often hear artificial intelligence, AI, and less. You won't hear so much about machine learning. But machine learning is involved in so many things that you and I do. If you have a YouTube account, you've most likely encountered machine learning. You'd wonder why each time you watch something, YouTube shows you something similar. See this? If I watch something about TD Jakes, YouTube is gonna understand what this is about. So there are tags that are added. Tags are, if I open this for instance, uh, like there are categories. So things like this, the theology of quietness, the power of stillness, when Jesus was quiet, all of these things are also incorporated in the Google YouTube algorithm. I'll explain shortly what an algorithm is, and also the categorization of this video. What is this video about? This video is religious. So each time you upload a video on YouTube, you are asked to categorize it. The categorization is what leads to the recommendations. So Google says you've watched a video that was made by TD Jakes. And so on your right here, hey, would you like to see some more? There are some more videos made by TD Jakes on your right. That's recommendation. It is recommending that if you liked this, you may also like what's on your right here. So continuously, if I then go in and I watch another video about TD Jakes, the Google algorithm will recommend me some more. Being multidimensional. So you can see I've gone in, it's gonna keep recommending some more. And you also notice that there are some other videos that have nothing to do with TD Jakes. All of those, they are similar. YouTube says, since you liked that video, you may also like these videos. And you observe that this video was shared by, it's a TD Jakes video, but it was shared by this company, Motivation Arc. So it says, if you want some motivation, here are some other motivational videos that have nothing to do with TD Jakes. So you can see that like whatever you watch, the algorithm is so good and so strong that it would always recommend things that are similar. It says, well, you like motivation. This guy here might motivate you. This one here might motivate you. They're not, and then it also has some TD Jakes. If I continue that way, so essentially, if you are watching things about cooking, you will find things on the left cooking video, so I can come in. Let's say I choose to watch
some of the best street food I've ever.
And you see on my right here, now it's recommending me more cooking. This is machine learning. So when you hear machine learning, it's not that, far out from what you currently experience in your life. Machine learning is being used to serve you video content to make sure that you enjoy your YouTube experience. If any of you have Instagram, machine learning is being utilized so much to show you those stories that you may like. If you use TikTok, it's the same thing. If you use Snapchat, it's the same thing. Machine learning is now being used everywhere. So, what is machine learning? Let's go into it. Does anyone want to tell me what machine learning is? Does anyone want to have a go? Try. What is machine learning? What can you tell us? Have you heard of machine learning before? From the top of your head, what do you think machine learning is about? Okay, well, you've seen examples of machine learning. So machine learning is effectively improving and enhancing the experiences of people, learning what people like and recommending them similar things or things that might have a relationship with what they are watching. I'm watching something on food, quick and easy recipes right now. Machine learning says, since you're watching something about food, well, you may also like something related to, deliciously simple dinner right there. So it's all related to food. So on my right, everything is about food. That's learning. So the more and more I watch, if I continue to consume videos about this guy, I will get more and more videos about him. But the algorithm doesn't keep me there because at some point I'm going to run out of content of this guy. So let's say, for example, he only had 100 videos. At some point, I will watch all the 100 videos. Therefore, there will be nothing new. So what machine learning also does is it shows you videos of other people. So for example, if you scroll here, you see that now you see this is a video that has nothing to do with what food here, but it's still related to food because you can see food in there with Kevin Hart. So that way it takes you out of this hole. It's like if you're in a hole and you keep digging, you're only gonna keep going inside. So it tries to pull you out of that hole by saying, hey, would you like a different content? And the minute I go into this content, machine learning, it will show me way more, it will show me different content with whoever I clicked. Let's say, for example, this guy, this is Jamie Oliver. And this content here is Gordon Ramsay. So this is his stuff. But the minute I click on Jamie Oliver, all I'm going to see now, YouTube will be very smart. YouTube will say, okay, let's show you some more content of Jamie Oliver.
Hi guys. What?
And you can see, so it's showing me more and more content of his. And then at some point it will say, okay, would you like to see something else? So recommend that overall here is machine learning tries to show you content that's related to what you're currently consuming or what you may like. And then ultimately, the purpose of doing that is to keep us, the users of Facebook, it tries to keep us happy because it knows that if we're happy, then we're going to continue watching. And that's why sometimes you see people on YouTube that can watch. It's very easy to spend 2 hours without knowing because the by machine, I mean YouTube keeps learning about what you like and keeps serving it to you. And the more it serves it to you, the more you continue to watch. So before you know it, you can consume almost 3-4 hours worth of content very easily. The same thing happens when you're on Instagram. You keep seeing the things that you like, so you continue to scroll and scroll and scroll. Same thing. Because it sees what you like, it shows you some more of it. Same thing happens on Netflix. For those of you that have Netflix, you watch a movie, and then the very next movie seems exactly like what you want to watch, just at the right time. So that's recommendations. That personalizing and recommending based on your habits, based on your consumption. He sees that, Darlington watched something, he watched this video, therefore he might like, he might also like this video. So that's understanding and relating to your users. And how do product managers do that? That's what that's what machine learning allows us to do. And effectively, you will see how that is done. And we don't code, we just need to understand. So we work with a bunch of people to build these relationships and gain this deeper understanding. Okay, so what is AI? Artificial intelligence is essentially the simulation of what we've just seen, which is a simulation of content or products, however you want to see it. So if you come to YouTube, as I showed, it's a range of things, and artificial intelligence can be used within the videos themselves in trying to emulate human responses. So using human actions, so using human-like interactions and processes to emulate humans, but it's not us. Like right now, if any of you use Facebook or X, you find that now you can actually have someone, you can generate an image of someone and have them speak and sound very human. There are several of these processes, and if I see if I can try and find one, AI speaking generator. Yeah, this is one. These are known as text to voice, AI voice generator for video creators. So you can generate a bunch of content and have essentially and have it narrated, and you may think that was spoken by someone. Actually, it wasn't. It was essentially something that was done by a machine. So listen, I don't know if you guys can hear.
I'm embracing every part of me, flaws and all. Social media might be a highlight reel, but...
Do you hear that? That was done. That's not a human like you and I. That's just a machine. So a machine that emulates someone's voice. So this is where things are going to get quite tricky around the world at some point, the next 20, 30, 40 years, because you're not going to know what's human and what's machine. Because if you listen to that, it sounded quite like, you and I. So how do you know what's fake and what's real? So the more and more technology advances, the more and more you can do things like that. And there are so many more now that you can actually have a human, a picture that is of someone, but that person doesn't exist, but AI actually produced it. And when something like that starts to speak, it becomes quite terrifying, because they have a voice. It's almost like an identity, just as you and I. It's like me, but it's not me. So that's where the challenge, it's gonna be quite tricky, for anyone to identify what's fake and what's real. So that's all about artificial intelligence. You're seeing this being used in lots of movies. I don't know if some of you have seen the Avengers. And we're seeing this happen in movies. So lots of movies these days are being done by AI. They're AI generated. Something like this, for instance, Hollywood, not Nollywood. Nollywood, I couldn't speak on that. But Hollywood, lots of them, they are top tier AI generated images, AI generated sound, AI generated imagery, and it's done to, you know, a very high level. This character, for example, was AI generated. See if I can find it. Yeah, so we can see here this character was AI generated in its form. In when he's transformed, it's an AI that does that. And also here, this character is AI generated. So we're seeing lots of people worried about their jobs. How? Because usually you would have people play these characters, but now AI can do it so much better. So all you need to do is to hire a programmer, computer programmer, that will program that, and that's it. And now a human has lost the job. So what you find is only the lower level jobs, and some lower level and some high level, but we see that AI is so much more capable and more advanced than humans in some areas. So that's I've just shown you, some areas of AI, so artificial intelligence. So it's in everywhere. It's in sound, it's in imagery, it's in movies, it's in, I mean, everywhere really. And we're seeing more and more of it now going into robotics. So you're seeing, when you hear of AI and Elon Musk. Here's another one. So this is a high level one where, yeah, this is potentially the one that would probably scare the most people. This is an AI where they start to give it skin like you and I. And if they start to sound like you and I, then we're in trouble, because then there's no distinction. This is the world's richest man, and he's investing in something like this, to essentially, he thinks he's going to save humanity. Yeah, so it's incredibly, yeah, they're, they're going really far. And all of that, how do they create that? That's all done, that's computer programming. And it's the same way that you and I are on this call right now. That's done via programming. And so humans have thought of the use cases, have thought of the jobs to be done, everything that we've learned in the course so far. So the use cases, the jobs to be done, the processes, how do they get from A to B? How do humans raise their hands, for example? Voices, they understand, and then they capture those requirements, those bunch of user stories. How do we design a robot? And then from there, they pass it on to software engineers who then program based on the requirements that they've received. So that is how that's what we see here. It's a very extreme version, but in what most of us would experience is more in movies, where we see AI, being used to represent characters, or artificial intelligence being used to enhance maybe healthcare. You will see down the line how it really helps us in healthcare, because humans, our ability to process information and understand, has limitations. Whereas AI, artificial intelligence, it's endless. It can process information very quickly. That's machine learning, utilizing machine learning modules. So mixing artificial intelligence with machine learning to produce lots of advancement, as we're seeing currently around the world. And machine learning then is just a subset. So a subset means it's a small function of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is very broad, it's everywhere. And so machine learning, as you've seen, one small subset of it is the YouTube example that I shared. It's also the Netflix example that I shared. For most of you that watch Netflix, have a go. When you're watching it, try watching just a random movie that you find and see whether the algorithm will recommend something based on what you've watched, and you see that it does. And even now, when you go on your social media and search for some profiles that you maybe find and see what happens, that the either Instagram or whichever social media that you're using, you see that they will start to recommend you similar content to what you watched. That's all machine learning. How do they please you? As product managers, you would see our role is to understand our customers, is to solve their pain points. When you do research, you understand what customers want. If you are a product manager in Netflix and customers are telling you that when I watch a movie or a film, at the end of it, I'm seeing content, I'm being recommended content that doesn't make sense to me, things that I don't want to watch. As a product manager, that's a problem you have to solve. How do you ensure that when a customer finish watching a movie, that some of the content that they see afterwards is meaningful to them, it makes sense, and that they would want to watch it? If that happens, if the probability that customers will watch content that you recommend for them goes up, then ultimately, in your role as a product manager, you're doing exceedingly well. And product management would be in various, as I've said throughout the class, that there are different areas. So there will be a product manager, for example, that is in charge of subscription. Subscription just here means how many people are subscribing to Netflix. If I click on finish here, you will see that to subscribe, these are the amounts you have to pay. If people come here and they exit and they close this page, that is a problem that as a PM, this is what I have been hired to try and reduce. So I have to find out how to represent. So I'll try several experiments. It might be, do I represent this page differently? Are these amounts too much? So you can see $4.99, $10.99, $17.99. So you're covering for varieties of people. There are some people that would find this more beneficial for them, the $17.99 one, or then there are those that will find $4.99 more beneficial. So you have to look at what exactly are you providing. So of course, for the cheapest one, you're giving them less access to many things. For example, you're giving them here only two. You're saying they could only watch it on 2 different devices. So if I have 2 phones, I could sign in to my Netflix on 2 phones. Or maybe I can give one family member access and I have one access, and that's it. So that's okay for $4.99. And then where someone that's from a bigger family, they may want this. So they can log into 4 different devices. So that's something. And here, people don't mind receiving adverts. Here, there are no adverts. So you can see that whichever one you select, you're paying for what you want. So ultimately, as a PM that is in charge of subscription, that's what this is called, subscription, people that are subscribing, your role is different. So you do different things for Netflix. If my role at Netflix is for people that have signed in, if my role at Netflix is to work on content recommendation. Content recommendation just means when people sign in, how do I ensure that they enjoy Netflix enough to continue to subscribe? So you can see. So that means learning about every customer, understanding the personas of different customers. There are those that like to watch children's program. There are those that like to watch, older people's programs. So maybe people that are over 60, they like certain programs. There are those people that like to watch sports. There are those people that like to watch documentaries. So you classify, you understand different personas, and then you recommend them more of what they like. So how do you do that? You essentially capture the requirement. The requirements in the form. So if a project is to recommend, to enhance the recommendation system, then you need to capture the requirements. You speak to users to understand, and then you write your jobs to be done. You write your user stories as we've discussed, and then you start to create some high level user journeys that will illustrate, for example, when a customer signs in and then they arrive at Netflix homepage, how do you want them to navigate to watch the content? Do they search? Do they browse and go to recommended content? So all of that you envision. You sit down and vision and see how you want those steps to be. And then when you speak with your developers, you give them the requirements. You have a conversation with them. And when you do that, that leads to Netflix being enhanced. So the recommendation system gets enhanced. And in tech, you solve one problem, soon there will be another problem. So problem solving just continues. So your role is to continue to solve problems. So you go from one to the next. And once you enhance the recommendation system, you may find that how do you get customers to try other contents, to try maybe how do you move someone who's 21 to now watch content that maybe 22-year-olds should be watching or 25-year-olds should be watching? How do you move someone from always watching documentaries to maybe watching some sports? So you may show them sports documentary, and then from watching sports documentary, they may try to watch some sports related movies. So that's all recommendation. So you define the relationships, and as a product manager, you can work with data analysts. They'll do what's known as tagging. I shared earlier what tagging meant, and I said whenever you try to create a YouTube video, let's see if I can do one. If I try to upload a YouTube video, I couldn't, but you would have to tag. So every video on YouTube is tagged, and because the videos are tagged, all that means is that there's a relationship between every single video that you see on YouTube. The same thing on Netflix. Every single video has a relationship. They are grouped. Just like if you look, it's the same thing in our lives. People that live in Lagos, majority of them speak the Yoruba language. That's called groups. People that live in certain regions, they are similar, as in similarity may come from language, may come from food. So these are all relationships. So when it comes to Netflix, the relationships would be in the titles. Are the titles related? What categories are there? Is it action? Is it romance? Is it, maybe discovery? Is it documentary? So these categories is what brings a relationship. And so before a movie is uploaded, they specify, okay, what type of movie is this? Is it action? Okay, then it goes in the action category. And so now whenever I watch one action movie, then there are so many more other action movies to recommend. So it narrows down based on similarity. So I spent a huge chunk of time there in trying to lay down the foundation to what AI and machine learning actually means. So it's closer to home than what we think. If we have a social media platform in today's world, then you're already a consumer of machine learning, and you're seeing it more often than probably what you thought. So you're seeing it in your YouTube, you're seeing it in your Instagram, because it's recommending you. The algorithm recommends you more and more. As soon as you like a picture on Instagram, if you go on your search page, it will show you more similar things. It says, oh, you like that, so you may also like these. If you like some more, if you want to test this, go on your Instagram and find a few For those of you that, are Christians, find a few Christian related maybe posts and like them, and like a few of them, and you see next time you come on, you find that it will show you so many more Christian related stuff. And that's how you get yourself in that world. And the minute you like some other things, it will bring you to that world. So it's always changing based on consumer preferences. That's known as preferences. Okay, so why does it matter for product managers? Innovation and competitiveness, that's one reason. If Netflix is innovative, then that means the likes of Amazon Prime, there's something called Amazon Prime videos. These guys, you can watch movie. They're also similar to Netflix, so you can see. So people have the option of coming to watch Amazon Prime, or they go on Netflix. And on Netflix, as we saw, there are different prices. On Amazon Prime, there is just one price, and that's it. So people can come here and watch this. So for PM, if you're a PM at a product manager at Amazon, you have to look at this and think, okay, how do I ensure that we get more sign-ups? So you have to innovate. The same thing happens at Netflix. They have to innovate, because the more innovative they are, then the more they will be able to win more customers. So effectively, the key to product managers utilizing AI and ML is for innovation and competitiveness. And what is innovation? Innovation is simply responding to your customer needs. So you provide a unique value proposition to differentiate your product. So you find a way that you can relate best with your customers. And you do so by doing lots of research, as we found, and understanding your customers more than anybody else. The minute you do that, then, if you work for Amazon, then you can help them to beat Netflix in terms of competition. And so as PMs, we utilize artificial intelligence and machine learning to help us be more competitive and be more innovative. And competitiveness here, as I've illustrated, it means if you are in any, I don't want to just use Netflix and Amazon, in any company, if you work for any of the banks that we have discussed, you can also use machine learning and artificial intelligence. So you can use, for example, if you work for a payment solution, a payment platform, then you can help them to ensure that they reduce fraud. For example, if I'm sending money to James, it's money that's going to James. So confirmation of payee, for example, if James gives me his bank account and I put the details to pay him, it says, for example, I know James' full name, and then I put the name, and the name says, the name, for example, could read John. Well, John and James are two different things. So immediately I know that's a fraudulent transaction. I can cancel. So that's machine learning. That's artificial intelligence in immediately learning what transactions are likely to be fraudulent and what transactions are unlikely to be fraudulent. And so using the information given and confirming and checking, that allows us to be better product managers. And so as a PM, in that regard, I'm using machine learning to enhance the likelihood of money going to the right hands. So I incorporate it into payment. So that's fraud reduction. So a project might be, how do we reduce fraud in the bank this year? And we think of projects within banking. One project is maybe, let's check that payments are going to the right people. So we create a program that would simply confirm people's names. That's it. So if I give one of you my bank details to pay me money, you know my name, and suddenly you put my details, you put the details that I gave you, and it's shown someone else's name. So that immediately tells you you shouldn't proceed to send the money, because I've told you a different name, and a different name is showing up. So you've effectively, as a bank, you're saving your customers money because they won't be engaged in fraudulent transaction. So that's one way. That's why it matters to PM. We can think of various solutions, various ways that we can incorporate machine learning and artificial intelligence. Next is we become data driven. We make better data driven decisions. So we utilize data for better products insights and user personalization. This one is key. In order for you to build your machine learning models, you need lots of data. So if you want to, for example, prevent people from being scammed on your payment solutions, you will need a lot of data to train your model. And you need lots of data to train those models so that they can see what a fake is and what real transactions look like. If I'm paying, for example, Godfrey, then the likelihood of that transaction being true and successful is that every detail that Godfrey gave me matches. Then the transparency and accuracy score for that transaction will be much higher. Godfrey gave me his name, gave me his surname, gave me his bank account number, and gave me the bank name itself, and I put those 4 things and all of them are true, then the likelihood of that transaction being fake or fraudulent, it reduces. So, however, if he gave me a fake name, then that transaction, the likelihood of being non-fraudulent, it's low. So that's one way of detecting. But this is why, as PMs, we work with data scientists or data analysts, and we make data-driven decisions. Another way, when it comes to user personalization, I've shared it in the YouTube example, as a Netflix example. The same thing happens on Amazon. So any video consumption platform, anywhere you're watching stuff, anywhere you're viewing stuff, browsing stuff, the same thing on TikTok. It is that if I watch, for example, this program, I go ahead and watch it, I click on it, I continue, then at the end of it, I'll see that there will be, and I come on my home page, I'll see that there will be more recommendations that are related to stuff like this, because the platform wants to keep me happy. So that's data driven, and it's trying to appease me as a user. So that's known as user personalization. It's personalizing the content to me. To personalize it just means to make it related to things that I like. So it's personal, making it personal to me. So it will show me more and more of that sort of content. The same thing happens on social media. It will show me more and more of whatever it is that I like. It will give me more and more of it. So ultimately, as a customer, it keeps me happy and it improves my user experience. If I have to be watching things that I don't like, the likelihood is I may cancel. And from a user perspective, that's a terrible user experience. And for companies, it just means it's efficiency and it's automation. Employees don't have to be there to say, oh yeah, you should go and watch this. You should go and watch this. The machine just learns and does it for them. Because the machine does it, that's known as streamlining. So it's streamlining and also reducing the costs. Because with machine doing it, it's something that has been, the machine learns. It learns from me. So it reduces the cost of companies having to come ask me. Okay, and when it comes to machine learning, there's something known as supervised learning. So supervised learning just means models that learn from data. Data that's labeled, and every data on every platform is labeled. Even on social media, whenever you post something, you give it, it's labeled, and that content is analyzed, and lessons are drawn from it. So, for example, on emails, you will have every email that comes has some information on it, and if you report it as spam, then when you report an email as spam, what happens is next time an email that has similar labels come in, instantly goes to spam, because the machine has, your email has learned that, okay, we don't like emails like this. Therefore, any email that has similar labels, let's take it to spam. And then there's something known as unsupervised learning. So models essentially, they learn for themselves, they think for themselves, they identify patterns in unlabeled data, and essentially they form key insights from that. And that's sometimes known as customer segmentation. So if you look in groups that, for example, personas, in personas, we see that the minute you have people, a persona like, for example, a sports enthusiast, for example, that's a persona. So whenever they watch something on Netflix or on any platform, YouTube, you find that they will get more and more of that. That's unsupervised learning, because the algorithm is learning what they watch. They watch once, they watch twice, they watch 3 times. It learns, this person must like things like this. So it goes and finds other content that is similar. So it segments them. That's known as customer segmentation. It segments and groups them and says, right, because you like documentaries or sports in general, I'm going to recommend you more and more stuff like that. So supervise, it's you helping by labeling the data. Unsupervised is you letting people's preferences, people's habits, and then the machine learns and detects, it identifies a pattern in the data and makes sense of it. And it makes sense of it by having a larger label to it, which is like segmentation. It groups. We are all, in whatever we do, we all have patterns, and we all fall into a label. That's just how the world is. Everybody falls into a label. You're either in a label of, you like to watch action movies, for example, that's a label. Maybe you like to watch traditional movies, that's a label. Maybe you like to watch sports, that's a label. So we all fall into labels. And now what machine learning has enabled is that it can be done, but it just happens. You go on a platform, they've created algorithms that would just do this for these platforms. And then there's something called reinforced learning. So models learn by trial and error. So these are, for example, autonomous driving. Autonomous driving is something like this. In the US mostly. So you can see this person, they're reading, their car is driving by itself. So each time here, for example, just this is an empty car. They've trialed these in the US. So you could see the AI, it's sensing around, it's looking. I mean, it drives even better than humans. Most humans would not spot this person and account for them while they drive. So these are known as hazards, right? And AI is able to, artificial intelligence is able to to access this information, because it means something. A car is coming this way. It knows that this is, it has a lane. This is someone crossing. It knows that it has to slow down. Sometimes humans don't do these things. You're crossing, they're speeding, they're waving at you and swearing at you. How dare you cross when they're still driving? But AI slows down. It knows that there's someone there. AI doesn't say they are right or wrong for crossing. AI does what it must do depending on the situation. So it slows down, and what makes it autonomous is it adjusts, it learns. If it sees a car, if it sees someone crossing for the first time, it slows down, and then now it knows that that's the norm. That's what it should do. So it self learns, it teaches itself. Just like us when we were growing up, if we put our hand in fire, we knew that that was something not to do. So we stopped doing it. We didn't do it anymore. So AI is doing the same in areas like autonomous driving, like I've just shown you. This is actually something that is currently in trial in some regions of the world, mostly in California, in the US. They're very brave, but the autonomous driving, they had some accidents. So they're self-learning, but it's a matter of, do you want them to kill people before you learn that, okay, maybe we need to test it some more. But it's all about trial and error. So AI tries something, it drives the car by itself, it's able to drive in its lane. It learns from that, and then continuously learns other key things. So if you were a product manager working in this company to build the software for the cars, because these cars, they're run by softwares, right? So it's the same thing. So you would be a product manager, for example, in charge of, I don't know, it could be the sound, it could be the sensors that can detect hazards like this. These are all sensors, and they use cameras. Cameras detect them, and then that would essentially would relate to, like, if it detects someone, then what should be the reaction? It should slow down. So these are a bunch of what's known as if then. If someone is detected in front, then slow down or stop the car. So from our perspective, we'll give the requirement. The requirement could be in the form of a jobs to be done. We want to be able to allow people to be safe. So whenever someone is detected crossing the road, we want to protect them. So we want to slow down. So we capture all of the requirements and we communicate. So as product managers, wherever there are systems involved, we have a job there. We can effectively get a job in that company. Okay. Any questions before I continue? Fantastic. Okay. So some use cases. I've mentioned personalization before, so tailoring experiences to individual users. And here I put in recommendation engines, and I gave the example of your YouTube. I gave the example of your Instagram, of your Twitter, of your Facebook recommendation. So they build recommendation engines, and I'll share some articles on recommendation engines. Netflix is known to have the best recommendation engine in the world in terms of how it recommends content. It's amazing how they do it. You watch something, the next time they're recommending you something that it's just as good. And so they keep you in Netflix watching content over and over and over, just watching, lots of content that if you're not careful, you can spend hours in there. So from a user perspective, they do a great job in ensuring that we're happy, and we're happy to continue paying their subscription. That's the whole purpose. Keep your customers happy. The purpose of a business is to make a profit. If your customers are happy, they will continue to use your product. So if Netflix customers are happy, they will continue to use Netflix, and they will not look to switch to Amazon Prime because they're very happy here. So that's the purpose. So that's one use case, which is personalization. Personalization also happens on platforms like the BBC. The BBC News, for instance, they do a great job. And essentially, we as product managers, if I was working at the BBC, I look at, you can see, for example, that's a tag, Olympic Games. This is a tag, business. And so when I come on the BBC and maybe I read this, you see that somewhere between features are things that they've selected, but there will be some recommended content somewhere to say, how do we show this person similar news to this? So if they see similar news to this, then ultimately they can stay here for a very long time. So there are several news platforms that do this. So you read something, and before you know it, they're showing you something else that is quite similar. So that's the benefit of that. And ultimately, you have your people, you have your customers on your platform consuming more and more data. Okay, and in terms of predictive analytics, here is being able to understand user behavior. So, for example, if I go on British Airways, these guys are amazing. As a user, if I come here and I browse this website, and perhaps I try to try to book a flight, and I leave. I don't know how they know, but now wherever I go on other platforms, I now see offers, potential offers of them trying to encourage me to come and book the flight. So that's sort of predicting, and that's one way. And another way of using predictive analytics is essentially for people that have booked in the past, being able to forecast how many of them. So if you traveled, let's say January last year, this year, as soon as it's going towards January, then I received maybe an email to say, there might be offers for you. Would you like to go back to the same place or to somewhere else? That's trying to predict that this person might travel again. And if you travel, then that's good news for the company, because now they make a profit from you traveling. From you buying a flight, they will make more money. If they get more people to do this, then they've maximized their revenues. So machine learning and artificial intelligence is also applied in that manner to predict user behavior, essentially, and to forecast what people might want. And then from an NLP standpoint, how do we understand and interact with humans? So chat box, we see this. Some of you, if you interact with chat boxes, you'll find that they have they have chat boxes that speak and sound like us. They speak and sound like humans. You text them, they message you exactly as though I was. That's known as natural language processing. And the best form of natural language processing is these. So this is Google Gemini and Chat GPT. So these platforms are natural language processing. They can emulate, they can write much better than humans. For example, I can say, give me a message for my boss, for example. Provide, and see, He says, absolutely. To provide the most effective message, give me some context. So I can say, give me a message to send to my boss on his wedding anniversary, for example. Okay. So you can see, happy anniversary to you and your spouse, wishing you continued happiness. I mean, that sounds just like, you and I, right? I can say, give me a message to send to a friend on his graduation, for example. Yeah. Congrats on graduating. So proud of you. This is, natural language. It's in the past. Chat boxes never used to be like this, but the likes of Google, Gemini, and ChatGPT have evolved these platforms so much. They can do, I'm just showing you some very basic use here. They can do so much more sophisticated things. You can say, for example, write an essay about product management and why it is useful for society. That's one. And there you go. It's gone in and created an essay. Yeah, that's a whole essay that would take a human perhaps, some time to write. So these are all some use cases for it. So for those in school, in the West now, they are producing platforms to limit people in school from cheating, from coming here to do literally ask the question and they get all the answers and then they pass. That's not the point of school. So there are also now platforms to catch people that use these platforms to pass their classes in school. But just showing you from an AI perspective and how they've evolved the natural language processing. So you can use this. ChatGPT works in the same way. If you want to try them, just create an account. I'll share the links so you can sign up and just play around with it. As PMs, I always emphasize this. Our role is to just play around with platforms, try to understand how they work, and once you do, that's that platform mastered. And as a product manager, these are assistive technologies. They won't replace you. They're there to help you be more effective. You can say, for example, give me 3 ideas for a project or for a feature that Netflix can create. So I can say, I am a product manager at Netflix. I'm a product manager at Netflix. Give me 3 ideas for a feature that Netflix can launch and see what it does. So this is why, as a product manager, we use these. These can be assistive. These can help you to be more productive in what you do, whatever you do. So you can see 3 features, ideas for Netflix. This is a Netflix. Now, I gave it context. I said, I'm a product manager at Netflix. Give me 3 ideas for a feature that Netflix can launch. He said 1 is an AI-powered personalized content creator. Yeah, what's the concept? He's explained it. And then implementation, I mentioned earlier about algorithms. So you can see, and what is your value proposition? What is your value to users? Increase user engagement, discovery of new content, and potential for viral content. That's one. A second is interactive gaming with narrative integration, and then social viewing with enhanced features. So you can see these are all ideas that if I was a PM, at Netflix, I will then take these and build a business case and say, why do we need these features? And then what is the benefit? Then I'll do research with customers and see if it's something that resonates, if it's something that will solve their problems. And if it does, fantastic. That could be a win. And then I'll then go on to use the insights of my research to create a bunch of jobs to be done. And from there, translate them to a bunch of user stories and try to create some user journeys. And then ultimately work with the engineering team, product squad, to have these features built and release. That's literally the flow. So you can see that these won't replace humans. They can only help you be more effective in your job. Okay, so that was NLP, natural language processing. So you understand them and then you interact with them as a human and you get the results that you want from them. So I'll quickly run through this. What are some challenges and considerations? Quality and quantity. Yeah, so data quality versus quantity. So the more data that you have, and not just more data, but the more effective data that you have, the more effective the solution. If I am to create, so what makes Netflix algorithm the best in the world is because they have so much data of people using their platform. So every time you and I use Netflix, we're giving them data. So their algorithm gets better because each time it gets it right, that someone watched a movie and it recommends something next that was meaningful to that person, that's an additional data insight, an additional data point. So the ground for this, the foundation for it is effective quality and quantity data. You need lots of data. So lots of data. So if you're ever involved in a project that is trying to incorporate some artificial learning and machine learning principles, if you just say how much data, if you ask the question, how much data do we have? It makes you look very aware. It makes you sound like you truly understand what machine learning and artificial intelligence is all about. It's all about having quantity of data and great quality of data. And of course, the next thing is being ethical and some people's privacy. So data privacy and ethics. So in the West, there's something credit references. In the West, we have credit references, for example. So these guys, they're credit agencies. So if you build, they rely on building lots of machine learning and artificial intelligence in order to detect that this person is credit worthy. Being credit worthy means last time that you borrowed £200, you gave it back or you paid it back. So the more of those you pay back, the more you solidify your credit worthiness, the more you show to the world, the more you show to anyone that potentially may want to borrow you money in the future that, okay, based on your past behavior, you're likely to repeat that moving forward. So credit agencies like Experian, they exist to keep a record. Essentially, that's all they do. Each time I borrow money, they say, well, last time he borrowed, he paid it back on time. He didn't pay back late. So because of that, I have a good history. The day I don't pay, I have a bad history. I have accumulation of maybe one or two would impact my history. Then it now takes many, many years to rebuild. So paying back is crucial. And what makes this good and what brings the ethical concerns is that if the algorithm that is built finds out that, okay, this person is black, let's be racist, and it starts to capture things like that, then that's not being ethical. So as a result, it's crucial that the machine does the right things that are in alignment with just focusing on doing the right thing, which is this person paying? Yes. Are they not paying? No. So separating that and not looking at metrics or labels that are meaningless. Someone's race has nothing to do with their ability to be able to pay. If you look at the data, look at their financial data, that's all you need. Your financial data, and that's what gets considered. So here, when you think of the ethics, the ethical side of it is concerned with keeping the data essentially centered around the problem, which is in the case of Experian, it's all about the credit, the financial behavior, someone's ability to manage their finances, and then if they borrowed money, can they pay back on time, exactly as agreed with the lender? So that's what this is all about, and the data that's captured is used for that reason, and it's not used for other discriminatory practices. Okay, and as a PM, what is our role when it comes to machine learning and artificial intelligence? Our role is really simple. As PMs, our role is to help define vision and business strategy. And essentially, when we think of that, it's all about solving problems. What is a problem statement? That we're looking at incorporating machine learning practices or artificial intelligence. It might be, for instance, we work in Netflix and we want to improve or enhance the recommendation system. It might be that we work for a news organization and we want to incorporate the recommendation. We want to improve the recommendation of news and articles. It might be that we work for a healthcare insurance provider and we want to help them reduce the number of people that are claiming fraudulently. So again, it might be that we want to enhance the number of quality people that subscribe to healthcare insurance. So there are several use cases. So as PMs, we just think of what problems do we want to solve and then define the vision around that. The vision might be, let's make a healthcare provider, or let's make our insurance company the best in the world, because we're going to incorporate some machine learning practices to make it really serve customers that buy insurance with us, to ensure that whenever they need to make a claim, there's no delay and their claims are handled. And effectively, we're utilizing machine learning and artificial intelligence. And when I say this, I mean we're understanding their jobs to be done. Yeah, why do we as a company want to utilize machine learning to do this? It could be to reduce fraud, to reduce fraudulent claims. If we work on Instagram, it could be we might want to enhance our recommendation system so that it is not just when someone likes a post. It could be that when someone posts something on their wall, that gives us an indication that they like what they posted, and so we give them more of that. So that's one way of enhancing your recommendation. You give it logic, you give it rationale. Rationale shouldn't be whenever someone watches on YouTube, for example, whenever someone watches a content about, let's say, tennis, then that's the only time you show them tennis recommendation. It could be that maybe whenever they watch anything sports related, you could say, do you like tennis? So you show them some content around that, and if they don't respond by clicking on it, you no longer show it until they show you that they like tennis. So that could be one approach of trying to enhance a recommendation. So there are various ways. There's not just one way. So as a PM, our role is to collaborate cross-functionally, to work closely with data scientists, engineers, marketers, UI and UX people to essentially, understand the problem from customers. What problem are they facing? And then we start to build solutions that would help to reduce those problems. And machine learning and AI are amazing at that. They can help us think far better because they have unlimited capacity. Whereas we as humans, as soon as we're tired, we don't think as well anymore. So that's something that they have on us. So from a user perspective, as known as user advocacy, all that means is putting the users first, being user driven, being problem driven. So trying to solve the problems that concern users. So all we need to do is to balance AI capabilities with user needs and ethical considerations. We don't, bypass these. We don't try to skip the ethical considerations, as I showed earlier, that if someone is trying to maybe access their credit rating and suddenly they find out that because they're, pink, because they're of a different race, that impacts their ability to borrow money. That's not fair. That's not how technology should be used. So these are some of the concerns. So there are various concerns that should be taken into account. Okay, I want to share some projects because I think with this, it's good that you gain some understanding of what projects. I've shared a lot of examples throughout the day so far, but I also want to go through specific examples to illustrate how AI and machine learning has been used. So we look at e-commerce. E-commerce just means online shopping. So any platform online that you shop, could be Amazon. If you're buying something, you're trying to buy, I don't know, maybe these speakers. Yeah, that's one way. So Amazon's recommendation engine, and on there, so Amazon uses machine learning algorithm to analyze user behavior, and the behavior there is browsing history. That's amazing. Purchasing history. That's another one. And search queries. That's another one. And effectively, it uses these three things to recommend you products that are likely to be of interest to you. And what is the impact of this? The impact is it increases sales, because the more people see these products, then the likelihood of them buying goes up. So I am on Amazon now and I browse this. That's one. If I then search for earphones, that's another one. Amazon uses that information. If I go on my home page, you see that I will see some more headphones. You can see related to items you viewed. You can see. So it thinks I must want to buy headphones. So it's shown me there are several different headphones, different brands. Yeah, that's one way. So the more of that I do, if I search for sunglasses, it will do the same thing. So what's the key there? It uses all of this to enhance their recommendation engine. And so ultimately, it leads to increased sales for the company, but also customer satisfaction for their users. Because if I'm truly looking to buy and I come here and now I have a variety of different headphones to look at, so it will lead to me getting the one that I like the most, and that's customer satisfaction. That's what Amazon wants. It's not always about making money. It's also about keeping me, the customer, happy. Okay, and the next one is healthcare. This, as a human being, we all appreciate this. We love this because it's about predictive diagnosis. So IBM Watson for oncology. So oncology is related to illnesses that are quite terminal, some of them cancers and so on. So if you have humans trying to use the telescope and so on to analyze and make and build trends and relationships with large volumes of data and medical literature, that sometimes can be quite difficult because, as I said, we humans, we have a limited capacity to understand, whereas machines can quickly browse through data in less than 1 second and give you a much more valid and possibly right diagnosis. So IBM Watson have built this predictive diagnosis. So predictive diagnosis just means it can use, let's say you had diabetes, and based on the data, based on the test that they've done, they put the results in the database and it will predict what your diagnosis might be. Is this something that has advanced in nature? So it helps in diagnosing cancer and suggesting personalized treatment plans. So it's been amazing. This is something that sometimes would have taken many years for the solution to be found. But now with AI, it can diagnose these things really, really quick. So all medical practitioners will have to do is to do the test, the blood work and all of that, and put the results in the machine, in the system, and the system would come up with the diagnosis if there is one, and if there's none, you're free to go home. So that's amazing. So it enhances diagnostic accuracy and provides personalized care recommendation, and ultimately it improves what's known as patient outcomes. Patient outcomes are, what outcomes does someone want when they go to the hospital? They want to come back home to their family. So the outcome there is, to be alive and continue to live in a strong and healthy manner. So that's a better outcome for the patient. So by having platforms like this, IBM Watson for oncology, it benefits the human race. So AI and machine learning, they are literally, the use case for them is so vast, it's varied. You can use it in almost every human endeavor as long as you can get the data. That's the thing I alluded to earlier: data, quality data, and you can train the machine, you can train the system to learn to give you more accurate data, and over time it gets close to 99.9%, which is almost 100% accuracy. So they're amazing. I've mentioned this one, which is fraud detection. So I don't know how many of you use PayPal, but if you have a bank card, it's likely to be a Visa or MasterCard. Those two payment providers, they have some of the world's best fraud detection systems. They can detect exactly when a transaction is going to be fraudulent and when it's not going to be fraudulent, and they can stop it. And this is going on right now. They continually enhance them. So PayPal have joined that group. So PayPal utilizes machine learning models to detect fraudulent transactions by analyzing patterns in transaction data, such as unusual purchase amounts or locations. If someone right now tries to use my bank card, to buy something on PayPal in Nigeria, it will get declined because PayPal would say, well, this person used it yesterday, and in less than a day, then they're now using it in Nigeria. Based on their patterns. We've not seen this before, so we're going to block it until they call us and confirm that it's them. Yeah, so it can be very annoying. Many years ago, when this system was being completely set up, lots of customers were complaining, but now people are actually happy that such a solution exists. So ultimately the impact is it reduces fraudulent activities and financial losses. So it is prohibiting, fraudulent transactions. So it's providing an amazing user experience for users. Yeah. And in terms of entertainment, we've spoken about Netflix content recommendation system. We've said how, it is one of the world's best recommendation algorithm. So it recommends movies and TV shows based on the user preferences, viewing history, and ratings. If I rate something 5-star, Netflix says, you must like it. Let me find something else that might look like it. So it utilizes collaborative effort to ensure that it filters and shows you similar contents to what you really like and keep away content that you don't like. So ultimately, it's increasing engagement and retention. If you're retained on Netflix, then the benefit for them is now, if you're signed up to, for example, the $17.99 monthly fee, then they will continue to make this money from you. The day you're unhappy and you cancelled, they've lost this amount of money from you. And if that accumulates over a number of customers, that's bad for them. So they try to find ways to keep you happy. And so by keeping you happy, you continue to remain a loyal customer. And that is the business model. And that is why AI and machine learning is so powerful for businesses. Any questions, guys? I'll open the floor to you. Ask away. You're all okay. Go ahead, Louisa.
Hi, Darlington.
Hi.
Yeah, good evening.
Good
Please,
evening.
is machine learning,
Mm.
is it a software? How can it be incorporated into a platform?
Yeah. With tell me a platform that you know that you use.
Let's say, okay, that I use.
Mm.
Okay, let's say like a personal website or my company website.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to get to install that on my website, like on my company's website?
Okay. Tell me the why. Why would you want to use it?
Um, I would like to use it to recommend. I mean, to recommend so that if anyone comes on my website, you should be able to study the behavior of the website visitors, and of course, keep recommending subsequent releases of my products of new products to them.
Okay. But what is in it for them?
Sorry,
What's in it for them?
what's in for them?
No, as in what are they getting?
Or what they are get entertainment, music, basically. Just
Okay.
like in the case of Netflix, they
Yeah.
are entertained by watching movies. So in my own case, if I have to, then they will be entertained, with music, not movie in this aspect.
Okay. Perfect. So machine, I just wanted you to define the problem. So when it comes to machine learning, sorry, let me mute you for a sec because I'm hearing a playback.
Okay.
Yeah. So when it comes to machine learning, it's all about give and take, right? What value are you giving to customers? Right? I mentioned Netflix. Netflix is giving customers the value of them being able to come in and watch different movies. So when you watch a movie, Netflix says, we don't want you to leave. We want you to do something else within our platform. Hey, would you also like this movie? So the reason why it says, hey, would you also like this movie, is because it observes, it has to know what the content you watch was. You know, if the content you watch, it might be based on the actors and actresses. Do you like those actors and actresses? So it recommends you several other movies done by those actors and actresses. Now, the same insight, and that's what machine learning is. It just means you're learning about your customers so you can keep feeding them, giving them more of the same things that they like. So you're gathering data of their likes. And that's in the same, we are product managers. How do we communicate problems? We communicate problems by writing down the problem statement. What is the problem that we're trying to resolve? We understand that problem, and then we then move on to, okay, this is how we will, and that's the vision. This is how we would love to resolve it. And in the vision of resolving it, you've all done this. So you all know how to write a vision statement now, and you all should also know how to then you then do research. How do customers currently, you want to have a conversation with them, and then you turn those conversations into jobs to be done. So what are the jobs to be done? So what are customers trying to do? Customers are trying, for example, in the case of Netflix, customers are trying to watch content and have something similar that they've currently watched recommended to them. And similarly, have multiple content recommended to them. So we then write the bunch of jobs to be done, and then we then write the bunch of user stories. So as a customer, when I watch a movie on Netflix, I want to see a content that is similar to what I've just watched recommended to me, so that I can, have a better engagement with Netflix, right? That's one. So when you say, how is machine learning built, this is exactly how it's built, that journey that I've described to you. And then the developers and the engineers will take these requirements and build the algorithm. So it's not a software, machine learning is not a software that you download. Machine learning is effectively you gathering requirements and communicating them with the engineering team for them to build. So how do we gather requirements? We gather requirements by understanding the jobs to be done and then communicating them by means of user stories, or just leave them as jobs to be done, and the business analyst can take that away and break it down into a bunch of user stories and acceptance criteria. So as product, our key thing is to understand the problem. What is the problem? So you emphasize your website, for example, as being a music platform. If users come there, you want them to not just listen to one song and leave. Perhaps they listen to one song, they can say, we think you will also like this song. So it recommends you different songs based on what you've just listened to. So effectively, how you communicate the requirements so the system can be enhanced is you understand the problem statement, you write that down, and then what is the solution? What is the vision? Your vision is to have the biggest platform in the world that offers music according to your tastes. That could be your vision. And then what does that entail? You begin to scope out the requirements. You begin to understand those high level jobs to be done that can be communicated with the team, and then they can go ahead and code the solution. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Then I also want to know the recommendations on the Netflix. Is it based on the movie cast or the story of the movie?
You're the product manager. So how do you want it to be
You're the
based?
product manager. So how do you want to do things?
It could be both.
Exactly. So
Both, so can
Exactly.
can
So
get more traffic here.
Yeah, I'm gonna meet you
So
again.
can target both audience based on like for audience who might probably like a particular story, and the audience who might also like set of actors. So can actually target both audiences. If I am a product manager, I think I'll target both.
Fantastic.
Or I'll consider both.
I love that rationale. That is the essence. Let me meet you again. Yeah. So I love that rationale. That is the essence of product management. You are the one in charge. You are the lead. You're paid to bring your business acumen. Exactly what you just said there. You want to increase the potential market. So you love to target, not just make it recommendation based on the title, but also based on the actors, and you can make it based on varieties of labels. So that enhances the potential reach. So fantastic. But one thing I want you to be aware is you're the PM. You will do research. Remember, you do lots of benchmarking, lots of secondary research, lots of interviews, lots of surveys. So all of these things, they give you insight. So when you come to a room, to a meeting, you're not coming near someone who doesn't know anything. You're coming near someone who has done lots of research and truly understands the problem. And so when you speak, you're justifying and giving the rationale for why you're saying what you're saying. And so ultimately, ideas that would evolve, someone else can enhance that idea and say, Louisa, you're right. We can also do blah, 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 and blah. That now has enhanced the idea as long as it makes sense. So, as a PM, that's how you can define the machine learning algorithms. You call it machine learning. It's not a software you can download, but it's something that you build by gathering requirements, and then that gets built by the developers. That's why everybody does it differently, because there isn't one way of doing it. You build it based on what your product managers want. So based on what you want, Louisa, that's what we'll build.
All right, thank you very much.
That's all right. Great question. Thank you. Any other questions? Are we all experts now in AI and machine learning? So if you get a job interview somewhere and someone says, would love to, sometimes they will ask you questions that are a little bit silly, if you ask me. Like, what is machine learning, for example? The answer there isn't just to state machine learning is XYZ. No, that question is trying to elicit if you have any thoughts, if you have any insights on how machine learning is being done around the world. So you can say something like, machine learning has been a powerful tool for humans recently. We look across Facebook, we look across social media in general. We see how it's being used to serve users, it's being used to understand customer preferences. We look across banking, we see how it's being used to prevent fraud. We see how it's being used to enhance payment solutions. So all in all, machine learning has been an amazing tool and will continue to do so. And as a PM, as a product manager, my role is really to understand the business requirements, to understand the scope that we're trying to incorporate and enhance existing platforms or build new capabilities. So as a PM, I am at the forefront in defining and designing amazing machine learning algorithms that will serve my clients, my customers, and I am all for building models and algorithms that are ethically friendly. And at the end of that, you've shown a lot of insight. So it's less about defining, it's more around you showing that you truly understand what machine learning can do and how it can really enhance our daily lives. You can even bring up, if you're in healthcare, you can bring up, the example of machine learning helping with, diagnosis, and that's saving lives. The faster people get diagnosed, the faster they can get medication. Some illnesses, you get it, early on, you're effectively, you can be saved. You get it late and nothing can be done. So it's really helping in many, many, many ways. Any more questions? Guys, ask away. Don't be shy. Okay, no more questions. So thank you, everyone. That's all for today. If you don't have any more questions, have a great week ahead. I will share on Slack the assessment for the week, and it's going to be a presentation, so I'll do a video and share as well. So that's all for today. Have a great Sunday ahead and great week ahead. See you next week. Fantastic. Thank you, guys. Good night.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye. Bye bye.